Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unfiltered Heart Talks. If you are a part of the Unfiltered Heart Talks family, welcome, Unfiltered fam. If you have not yet subscribed and you want to know what's going on over here and you want to be a part of this community where we share valuable information, click that subscribe button. You won't be disappointed. And check out all of our videos. Also, check out our playlists. And if you are a part of the family and you've been riding with us for a while, one task: go ahead and share any of the videos that you love with one of your friends or family members. We would greatly appreciate it. So, yeah.
I was having this conversation with you just this week.
Right.
Was this week, right? Not last week. And the conversation that we're about to have today, it stems from a debate that I was listening to. This debate was from two well-known guys, two well-known podcasters who were having the debate about marriage. But something that really stood out to me was when the Christian young man said that marriage is a business contract. He said that he understands that marriage is a business contract. And what stood out to me wasn't just a statement, it was just how common this way of thinking has
Actually
become,
is, yes.
especially amongst believers.
And we see as a result of that, a lot of people are afraid to get married,
Right.
especially men,
Right.
because we see what's happening in media today where it's viewed as a business, everything is split, the woman goes after the man. It's very sticky. It's this situation or this climate can definitely discourage people from marriage.
Yes, and what you find is that a lot of that fear comes from not understanding what marriage is
Absolutely.
and where it actually comes from.
Yes. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about marriage. Not the way the world portrays it, but the way God designed it and intended it to be.
All right, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Our love isn't absent problems, but it sure is absent drama. You deserve this kind of love. Unfiltered Heart Talks with the Dawkins.
So we have always talked about this. We have always had this conversation, and I'm always concerned with how marriage is perceived, especially amongst believers, and just how the way in which people talk about marriage, you can just see that distortion in their way of thinking. And a part of that, I believe, is because people understand marriage through a worldly lens. And by that I mean people forget that marriage is a biblical institution. You know, it's not a legal contract. It's not something that the government authorize or sanctions. It's a biblical institution.
Yes.
Right. And when you try to understand or try to have a conversation about marriage from a worldly standpoint, then of course the mindset that surrounds that becomes worldly.
Secular, absolutely.
It becomes secular, right? And not only that, but when you hear people have these discussions, these debates about marriage, and especially what is happening with marriage, with the court system, with women being incentivized, all of these things, that's where marriage, the discussion is really coming from. The discussion is not coming from where it originated. And that's the problem we find. But the danger to the conversation as well is this. When marriage is talked about from a worldly lens, not only does the mindset surrounding it becomes distorted, but it creates fear. It creates fear within young men, within young women, within people in general who are not married and probably don't even have a biblical understanding of what marriage is or where it originated. So that's a greater danger. Now you have a platform where you are talking about marriage, but you are speaking about it in light of marriage being a partnership or a contract. And almost everywhere we go, when you research what is marriage, it tells you that marriage is a partnership between a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the broken version, the distorted version, the distorted meaning of what marriage is based on societal norms, right? That is a social construct and not a biblical one. And so, if we're going to talk about marriage, which we are doing today, it has to come from the origin. It cannot come from,
The byproduct of
you
the
know,
original.
of the original. It has to come from where it originated.
If
So,
you want to understand it, at
if you
its core.
truly want to understand what it means at its core.
That's absolutely true. Because today, the view is, even in my mind and in many people's minds, if you don't have it on paper, if the
doesn't
government
count.
didn't stamp it, if
not
it's not registered in the clerk's office somewhere at the courthouse, it does not count.
right.
So we have lowered the original definition of marriage to mere documentation, and that's not what it is.
Right.
And that is why I believe a lot of men are fearful of this. This is where you can actually see marriage as a business. Because as you mentioned before, women are incentivized should that contract be broken,
Right.
whether it is her or his fault. That's why men are afraid of that, right?
Right. And to add to that too, not only, are women incentivized if that contract is broken, the contract in and of itself becomes easily broken because it is seen from a worldly lens as just a mere contract.
A piece of paper.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at marriage as a partnership, then when you understand the definition of a partnership is an agreement between two or more persons. So if that partnership, if there's any breach within the partnership, then you can just easily break the contract, the agreement, right? But if you understand, again, marriage from a biblical standpoint, you will understand that marriage is not just a partnership. It's a covenant.
Yes, covenant.
Right? And we're going to get a little bit deeper into that. But the assumption that if the government doesn't validate it, or if it's not on a piece of paper, then it's not marriage, is mind-boggling to me. And it's not even necessarily that it's mind-boggling. It's just the eroded version or definition, developed from a social construct of what marriage is.
Absolutely. And I would have you share your story. We don't want to we don't want everyone to believe that most believers or most Christians view marriage in the sense of a contract. There are some people who view marriage as it is a covenant.
Right.
You shared once that a minister had told you if you all went home and there was no sexual intercourse, you could come back and change your mind and nothing happened.
Right.
The marriage was not consummated.
Right. And definitely, I love that you brought that up because we're going to touch on the importance of sex. Where marriage is concerned as well.
Our love isn't absent problems, but it sure is absent drama. You deserve this kind of love. Unfiltered Heart Talks with the Dawkins.